Good day, beloveds. Welcome back to Nourishment 101. I'm Kiana, and today we're going to talk about ancestral debt. Ancestral debt. What is ancestral debt? Well, many of us are carrying this debt around and this heaviness, not knowing what it is. So, have you ever known someone who had a lot of secrets and a lot of pain, and that something that they were suffering from, and no matter how much you wanted to know what it was, they never talked about it, they never addressed it, they just kept shying away from the subject or just pushing it down further and further, not letting go of it? Well, this is because this is natural for them, and it's because their great 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 grandmother, grandfather, their second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth cousins, their aunts and uncles, all of the people in their family have some secrets, some things that were horrific, and things that would probably drive a person crazy if they thought about it all the time. So, to develop coping skills for this type of event taking place in your life, or these types of tragedies, they would just push it down to move on. But there's some things that our ancestors went through that nobody should have to go through. Some things that can really ruin a person's mind, spirit, and like take their soul. And once a person's soul is taken and held hostage, by these events that took place, imagine what that does to the inside of their body. It's more like it starts cancer. Cancerous thoughts lead to a cancerous body. And so also a sickness where people feel like they're the victim, or just a lot of different mind disabilities come with those types, carrying that type of weight. So what our ancestors did was they ended up passing that down to their kids, not knowing that they were passing down all of those things, because we don't really understand our bodies and how they work and how we're connected. So whenever a cell has this memory, which holds memory, by the way, whenever the cells have experiences, they remember how that felt, and they all respond according to what the thoughts of the mind are. And whenever you encode something like this in your blood, it is passed to your offspring and passed to their offspring if it's never dealt with. And so a lot of us are dealing with a lot of shit that's not ours. A lot of us are carrying a lot of weight that's not just ours. And by the time you get to a certain age, it starts to play out in your life because you're not aware of what it is. And it comes to the surface, and it can come in the form of habits, addictions. It can come in the form of running away from things, from being angry all the time, or being distant, closing yourself off. It can come in the form of gossiping about people, which is deflecting. And it can come in the form of not taking responsibility. All of these are mental challenges that we face due to the things that have been passed on to us. And so when we have to face challenging situations in our lives, we cave because the weight just gets too heavy. And so we end up carrying on the cycle. Well, when you create a healthy environment for starting with your body, when you make your body healthy, it's the first form of self love that you can experience. And self love is what saves us from the darkness, from going completely, dark. So, our problem most of the time is not understanding what self love is and the power of it. But when you learn self love, it can actually stop generational debt from happening to your kids and continuing to pass it down. And self love is allowing yourself to work through your pain and your issues and face them instead of pushing them down. My first act of self love was giving back to my body. I stopped eating the things that were making my family sick. And I mean, these are the same illnesses that ran on my mother's side of the family, like from her great 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 grandmother all the way to my mother. My cousins, all the females on that side of the family got this illness. And so I knew that if I didn't change anything, that I was next. So my first act of self-love was changing my diet. When I did that, it changed everything about my life. I stopped eating meat, first of all, because I understand that the meat that we eat is coming from animals that suffered. So they're also sick. And that cancer and those, illnesses that they suffered also get passed through food. It's a spiritual transference, and you don't really realize that everything you eat, you take into your body, you hear, everything around you has a spirit. It has an unseen beginning, in other words, before it was manifested into this physical reality. Everything comes from somewhere. And that's what we call the spirit world. So, there's nothing around you that wasn't in this world first as a thought before it became physical. So that's something you have to humble yourself and acknowledge that it exists. There's another side of us. And when that spiritual side of us is damaged coming into this plane, we carry that out in a physical reality. So you have to make sure that you clear this ancestral debt and you stop it it stops with you. Because if it doesn't, it's just going to keep cycling around and around and around. And if you never get a chance to work your way through that debt, and these could be emotions, it could be bad behaviors, bad habits. Again, they can come in all different forms. If you never work your way through understanding how to clear it, then it just keeps cycling. And when you get ready, it doesn't just end with death. It doesn't just end with the physical disappearance of your body, because it didn't start there. It started with the spirit. So this is why it's so important for you to address spiritual concerns and spiritual matters in this lifetime. That keeps this debt from coming back and back over and over and over again. Because I'm going to tell you, it's not just in your cells, and when they duplicate and reproduce, they pass that information along, but it's also, and that's what we call in your blood. It's in your blood. It's also in your hair, because your hair is a living record of everything that has been passed down as well. When forensic scientists test hair samples, they can tell not only what you've eaten and your medications that you've been on, but they can also tell where you've traveled in the world. So your hair is more than just a decoration. It's more than an ornament. It's also a living record book. And there's a lot of power and information stored in your hair that links you back to not just the bad, but the good too. You also, it helps you, once it gets to like a certain length, and your body starts taking, you start taking care of your body. And this is why you don't cut the ends, because the ends are what, there's like little bulbs on the ends, that we've been taught to look at as, damaged. But it's actually like the tips are like what they extend and connect with, So the ends is where the information is received and where it travels out. And this is why it's so fragile. So you must take care of your ends. You must not keep cutting them off unless you've had a whole lifetime of horrific memories and you just need to get rid of those memories. And that's what cutting your hair off does. It gets rid of memories. So most of us just never cut our hairs off. But this is one reason that monks, they go bald. They cut off that ancestral memory and debt so that they can come into this world with a renewed spirit. And this is something that is not always accepted and understood in our society. So we kind of just look at everything as weird. But it's time that you start understanding what some of these things mean. So back to ancestral debt. If you can start taking care of yourself and your body, it will lead to the next spiritual, I would say, stage in your life. Things go from just being about the physical or mythical to a deeper understanding of what the myths actually mean, because there's a basis for every religion, every myth. There's something to all of it when you know how to read it and understand it. But when you go through these different spiritual stages, it starts to open up a different perspective, a different way of seeing life, a different capability of being able to see the cause and effects of things. And I'm telling you, once you're able to see those things, that's when you're really beginning your spiritual awakening. That's when you're being initiated into the mystery schools. And that's when things around you start opening up and speaking to you. Nature will start telling you things. You'll start getting these messages in your gut. You'll start being able to feel things a lot better. And it's like you open up your sixth senses, your seventh senses, and you start opening up all these different senses. And this is where the terms God and Goddess comes from, because when you get to a certain level of perceptivity, of being able to of a vision, that 36-degree vision, that finally that 90-degree vision, and then that 360-degree vision, then you can see that everything is indeed connected. And so your spiritual growth really depends on loving, understanding, giving back to yourself. It's not something that can really be explained. I try. Everybody knows I try. But it has to be experienced. It's not something that can really be explained away. There's no words that can help you understand what that feels like. So take care of your bodies. If you have suffering that's going on in your family and has been there for generations, talk to your family about it, address it. Get all these naked or these secrets out in the naked. Get them out, because when you get them out, you can unload it, and it doesn't have to keep being passed on to your future children and their children, your descendants. You want to clear that up now. You want to heal the future generation, because guess what? You're going to also be in that future generation again. So when you come back, you come with a renewed spirit and soul and you're healed, and you don't have to suffer here, because there's a way to be in the world without being of the world. And when you find that balance, it's where peace lives. And our ancestors used to have a spiritual school designed to take your mind through those processes to get you to that place a lot sooner. But that spiritual system was destroyed and used against us, not necessarily destroyed, but the mysteries were kept and understood and used against us. And because of that, we've been in mental slavery ever since. So it's about awakening. It's about understanding who you are and remembering that you didn't come from slaves, You came from gods and goddesses. You came from people who were able to build pyramids. You came from people who were able to build these monuments that we still don't understand today. A lot of us don't understand today. And that's because we don't understand the science of sound and the science of electromagnetism and frequency. We don't understand any of these things and how they relate to us. And when you understand these things, you can connect to the higher versions of yourself because you understand the laws of the universe. So, reconnecting with that part of you is a matter of being able to let go of the pain and the hurt by getting it out, and knowing that this is the same stuff that was carried by our ancestors over and over and over again. But somebody's got to learn how to put it down. Somebody's got to drop the rope. And might as well be you, because you're here and you're listening to this. And if you are, then that's you. You're the person who's supposed to help. And I'm just keeping it 100 with you, because this, and my kids are going to laugh at me when they hear me say that, because anytime they say, I try to talk hip or whatever, they think it's so funny. Like, Mom, you said 100? Anyway, I digress. Where was I? Yeah. Being able to put that down a lot sooner means that, you're healing your whole, not just future, descendants and kids, and grandkids, but you're also healing the past. You're also healing the past. You are lifting that burden, because the spirit transcends time and space. So if you're able to take care of that burden now, it changes the past and it changes the future. That's what we're dealing with here. It's heavy. It's serious. And if you're here watching this right now, I am talking to you. So allow yourself to heal first by recognizing the pain. Recognize it. Like, stare it in the face, understand it, because I'm going to tell you, this is what causes nightmares and what causes bad dreams, cold sweats, night sweats, whatever you want to call it. This stuff lives in your memory, in your mind, because it's been passed down. A lot of this stuff you've never experienced before, and you're like, why am I dreaming about this? Why did it come in the form of a demon? Or why did it come in the form of a monster? It's because that's what it was. Any type of spiritual debt turns into a monster. It turns into curses. It turns into all of those nasty things until it's dropped. So you have to understand how important it is that you understand your dreams, and that you realize that it's a lot of things in your dreams that cause suffering and pain in the real world, because it's trying to show you, it's trying to surface and show you that this is the nightmare that your ancestors have been carrying. And this could be family secrets that involve, like, oh God, there's a number of things. Molestation, murder, family histories that could involve, like, being stuck with someone you don't love, or somebody being, killed too early or too soon, losing a mother or father at a young age. This is the type of stuff that our family, had to be strong and push down instead of let out. And they carried this over and over and over again. So don't think that you're not affected by it, because this is where depression comes from, running away from things. And I've already given a list of the behaviors that come from this type of debt, this karmic debt, this generational debt. So when you see it in yourself, acknowledge it, and allow yourself to stare it in the face, work through it, and let it go. And forgive yourself, and forgive anybody who did anything to you, because if you hold on to that, you're hurting yourself more than you're hurting that person. So being able to transmute that energy, that negative energy, into something positive that allows you to thrive and turns your life into something beautiful. No matter how much money you make, it's not about money. That's not how we measure success. It's about turning that into something that can lift you and your family up from those trenches, and being happy and loving yourself and caring for yourself, because that's the only way you can truly care for others, is once you understand what real love is. And real love has to come from within. So I know I keep talking over and over and over and over, so I'm gonna end this video here. But I wanted to just share this with you because it was just bubbling out of me and pouring out of me, and it still is. It doesn't want to stop. But thanks for for listening. Thanks for being here. And if this helped you in any way, share this with someone that you love. Okay? And that's all I got for you today, beloveds. Peace.